So let's for a second, let's talk about Scottie Pippen. Let's talk about Scottie Pippen for a second, Daryl, because I think that's something that is worth talking about right about now.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah. So as we was talking about on the way home uh, earlier, I wanted to
I wanted to.
talk about Scottie Pippen based on what he said and what he did. Uh, so he decides that he's going to be a person to not hold back his feelings. Okay. So he decides to go on the Dan Patrick show and say some stuff that's just kind of out of the norm. So let me just read this. Let me read this through, and I'm gonna throw in my 2 cents, and I want to get yours. So Dan Patrick had this interview with Scottie Pippen, and this is what Scottie Pippen says. I don't think it's a mystery. You need to read between the fine lines. It is my first year playing without Michael Jordan. Why wouldn't I be taking the last shot? I've been through all the ups and downs, the battles with the Pistons, and now you're going to insult me and tell me to take it out. I thought that was a pretty low blow. I thought it was a pretty low blow. I felt like if it was an opportunity to give Tony Kukoc a rise, it was a racial move to get him a rise. After all, I've been through it with this organization. Now you're going to tell me to take the ball out and throw it to Tony Kukoc? You're insulting me. That's how I felt. So on Monday, of course, he appeared, like I said, on the Dan Patrick show, and he elaborated on this again. Dan Patrick began his question by saying it was a racial move, and then you're calling, if you're saying that this is a racial move, you're pretty much calling Phil Jackson a racist. Pippen responded by saying, I don't have a problem with that. When Pippen asked explicitly if he was saying Jackson was a racist, he responded by saying, oh, yeah, before criticizing Jackson's coaching methods. Do you remember Phil Jackson left the Lakers and then wrote a book on Kobe Bryant and then came back and coached him? I mean, who would do that? You name someone in professional sports that would do that. I think he tried to expose Kobe in a way that he shouldn't have. You're the head coach. You're the guy who sits in the locker room and tell the players, this is a circle. And everything stays within the circle and that what team is about. But you, as the head coach, opening up, and now you go out and try to belittle, at that time, one of the greatest players of the game. Then Dan Patrick went on to ask Steve Kerr about taking the series clinching shots in the 1997 finals against the Utah Jazz. Dan Patrick pointed out that Jordan was caught on camera telling Kerr to be ready because he was going to pass him the ball. Pippen argued that Jordan did that primarily for the sakes of the cameras. You know all those cameras who was just sitting in that huddle. You know all those cameras in that huddle. Who were they working for? You know who Michael was speaking to, right? That was planned. That was speaking to the cameras. That wasn't speaking out of what we're going to have to do, what the play is going to be. That was speaking to the camera. Had John Stockton not came down, trust me, that was building his own documentary because he knew he was controlling the cameras. All those cameras was working basically for Michael Jordan, not the Chicago Bulls. And that was not naturally spoken. That was rehearsed. I'm gonna be real, and this is one of the things that I don't normally say, and I'm gonna come out and say this. Phil Jackson's not a racist. He's not. Scottie Pippen fails to understand what it takes to be a leader. As I just mentioned a minute ago, he talked about what Michael Jordan did. Michael Jordan was 2 steps ahead of you. He wanted his stuff documented. Why should he be held off for that? That's the first thing. The second thing is the racially motivated stuff. This all goes back again to failure to understand leadership. You can't be a guy to pout and throw a fit because you felt that you led a team to 55 wins and then you feel like that Tony Kukoc was going to be on a rise. That shows selfishness in my personal eyes. Because you were the running mate for MVP that year. You had literally won 55 games under your belt with this team. You went out there in that game, shot 10 for 20, 50% from the field. You shot 50% from the three-point line. Why would you not think that the Knicks was going to throw you the ball and you was going to take the last shot? Like Reggie Miller said, you have to be the proxy sometimes. You have to be. That is part of leadership Scottie Pippen fails to understand. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this up with saying something else about Scottie Pippen that needs to be drawn attention to. And most people probably know it by now. But for those of you that don't, Scottie Pippen is jealous of Michael Jordan. Plain and simple. And that's all I got to say about that.
It's funny because I agree with everything you said. I agree to the fact that Pippen is jealous of Jordan.
Yes.
I agree to the fact that he is a selfish person. He do not show leadership
right
to the team.
Right.
I 100% agree with that. Because my problem is that as a player, like Reggie Miller said, you have to be a proxy.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be that proxy. Mm-hmm. So why is it okay for you to be the leader, but when you know that there's a player on the rise, good as Tony Kukoc, why not take him under your wing? Why not do that? Why not show him more that can learn from as a growth opportunity?
Right, exactly.
Why is failure to lead? Exactly. And when Jordan retired, and Pippen was the only one, how many championships did they win under Pippen?
None.
0. Nada. 0. So you can't say that what Phil Jackson did was an insult to you. My question would be for Scottie Pippen. What is the actual truth in reading the fine lines between what Phil Jackson did to you with Tony Kukoc when he had you take it out?
Right.
What was your real definition of that fine line? Because that fine line that you just spilled out was a bunch of bullshit. Period.
Yep.
It's bullshit.
Yes, it is.
Because if in any position that a basketball player puts themselves in, there's a lot of them that do get jealous. There are a lot of them that will actually take somebody under their wing when it comes down to leadership. There's a lot of that. Mixed emotions. But when a player is actually when a coach, is trying to actually try to win, he's to win. Phil Jackson didn't win 11 rings for no damn reason, just to sit up here and just make a display for his fingers.
Mm-hmm.
He did that because he did his homework.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what players are on the rise. He knows every bit of players that surrounds him. He has coached all-time greats. And so now you're saying that he's just insulting you because you feel in your feeling some way that he's just utmostly just disrespecting you. Nah, bruh. Nah, bruh.
No.
If Phil Jackson wanted to disrespect somebody, guess what would he have done? He would have traded you. Would have traded you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there were certain times that actually did almost damn near happen, but that is the case. That's just the case. You just, it was a bunch of bullshit. You don't do that. It was bullshit. You just made an ass of yourself. Period. That's all I gotta say about that.
Mm-hmm. And he's going to continue to do that too. So.
Oh yeah. I'm just keeping an eye on that.
Yeah.